because everything that exists seduces. We see that quite literally in the form of camouflage that all beings engage with as an essential characteristic or affinity in nature in the production of eroticism, namely attraction of the opposite entity. At the same time, camouflage also works as an avoidance of death. So as far as we can see it, as a life force, as a technique in nature, as a technique in existence as such, camouflage has this dual purpose. One is pure and utter seduction. The other is avoidance of death or survival. So in that regard, there is a connection between seduction, eroticism, and death. Because the more I diffuse myself, the more I am aligned with the outside. Meaning nature, city, my work, whatever habitat there is. Why is this important? I use the word diffusion. We could use other words because diffusion of myself rather than crystallization of myself allows me to develop affinities with the otherness, the affinities that are shared with the outside or particular entities of the outside. In the shared affinities is where becoming, what is called becoming, occurs, as far as I understand word becoming. Affinity literally means bordering on. That's the etymology of the term, bordering on. So the meeting, erotic meeting, if you will, the line of seduction occurs on the threshold of the point where I'm exceeding myself or diffusing myself or renouncing myself. And as such, becoming vulnerable so that the affinities of the otherness, of the other entity, can affect me. And I can affect the other as well. So it's a phenomenon of bordering, and it's a phenomenon of acquiring shared affinities. Human to the first theme. Louise Bourgeois calls her work exorcism. In order to be an exorcist, you need to know magical techniques. You need to know specific techniques in which to perform exorcism, which is an engagement with the spiritual and the carnal elements together. So all of those examples to me make it more clearly charismatic, because they carry the modality of sorcery, they carry the modality of desire, they carry the modality of sensation, and we can recognize them in the artists because they say so. It's totally there. Now, what's the confusing part that I was saying? That's not the case with a lot of art and with a lot of relation between art and artists and their work. Because, as you know, many artists, especially successful ones, have 100 people working in the studio. I don't know how to treat that, to be honest. I don't know how to. It's not that it's, worse art. One of my favorite artists is Thomas Saraceno. I wrote for him, you know, and he works in the community. You know, it's a big studio. Olafur Eliasson puts amazing things out. It's 200 people working on this. I don't know what the relationship of the artist to the artwork there is. I really don't know. So how is that work charismatic? I can't tell you, you know, just from the top of my head. This is where we have to look to a specific art and see or work a specific artwork to see how its effectiveness works and to what extent it's effective, you know, simply to see what does it do. And only then I can, you know, attempt to say, okay, I see the charismatic element here. This is precisely the task, to bring all of the myths to a smaller, minor, seemingly insignificant scale. And when you scale down a myth, you get a fable or a fairy tale. Myths are about origins of the world, origins of a nation, origins of a culture, etc. Fairy tales and fables, not really, not about origins at all. Random subterranean intensities. So it's a matter of scaling down, and then seeing what intensity lies in this, you know, smaller, scaled down, vulnerable, ephemeral modality. Okay.